causes your inflammation. GAE improves pain, mobility, and quality of life. It's also an effective treatment that helps reduce pain after knee replacement surgery. Reclaim a pain-free life. Call CACVI today.
At Ashley's 4-day sale, Friday through Monday, pay no interest for 5 years with no money down. Plus, you can shop trending hot buys starting at just $2.99. Happening Friday through Monday, only at Ashley. Open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday.
KTLA Plus. Download it free today.
Broadcasting across California with Nikki Lorenzo. This is Inside California Politics.
Glad you're with us this week. I'm Nikki Lorenzo in Sacramento. On the show today, we are talking with 2 state lawmakers about several topics, including the fire recovery in Southern California and the big issue, of course, that is home insurance here and a whole lot more. So we want to get right to it. I want to welcome Democratic State Senator Sasha Renee Perez, who represents District 25. That includes Altadena, and also State Senator Ben Allen, who is also a Democrat representing the neighboring 25th District that includes the Pacific Palisades. He is also running for Insurance Commissioner. Senators, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
A lot to talk about. So let's start with the fire recovery, again, marking the 1 year, as you both know. Senator Allen, I'll start with you, because I know you guys both were in district last week. When you're talking to people who were affected by the fires, what is the #1 thing you're hearing?
Obviously pain, sadness, and then just dealing with the recovery.
Yeah.
People not being able to get the insurance money they need to rebuild their homes. People being frustrated with permitting or other issues that they're having, just getting back on their feet, dealing with all of the uncertainty still. I think a lot of people didn't realize that a year later, there'd still be so much disarray and challenge. Now that being said, there's a lot of rebuilding happening, and a lot of people are getting back on their feet, but it's been a rough process.
Are you hearing something similar?
Absolutely. I think there are a group of folks, I personally know friends that are heading back to their homes. I know someone that's heading back actually come next month, and it's exciting to hear those stories. But I hear from so many families that have either not received their insurance payouts or in many cases are running out of ALE and are at risk of falling into homelessness. The fires in our area are a little bit different because the Eaton fire is currently under investigation for SCE's potential involvement, and so there are many lawsuits being filed against the utility company, and until a determination is made, residents are not going to be able to tap into what we refer to as the Wildfire Fund that will provide them with aid and assistance for that rebuilding process. So it's been a really challenging time for our community.
Yeah, and I want to articulate that too, because you talked about SoCal Edison and potentially being at fault there. The Palisades fire, someone has been arrested for arson involving that fire. But you both mentioned recovery, and you said some folks are getting back into their homes and looking to move back, but still there are a lot of people who are displaced by this. And I want to talk about accountability, because again, we've learned something over the past year, but there are a lot of unknowns still, and people are still very frustrated. Do you feel like elected leaders down on the ground in LA, I'll start with you, Senator Allen, Mayor Bass, the head of the fire department, have done enough to take responsibility?
You know, that's been the critique, and that there hasn't been enough. In fact, that you know, if you look at this after action report that came out from LAFD, that there was all this redaction or editing made that went up to the top so as to try to reduce criticism.
Yeah.
You know, so people are frustrated. I mean, you sense that frustration walking through the area.
Well, and the LA Times is out with a story this week too, saying the new chief is not going to look into how that happened, how that redactions or the doctoring of the report, what took place, who's responsible. But do you think that someone needs to step forward and be more transparent in order for people to be able to move forward? Because they're upset, and this isn't going to go away.
I think it would really help. I think it would really help. I think people want to see honesty and openness from their leaders, and I think it would really help for folks to step up, both in the mayor's office, in the county, in the city, city hall, and just be really open about the mistakes that were made and the plan moving forward.
And in terms, I had a developer and businessman and potential candidate for something, Rick Caruso, on the show last week, and he was talking about the permitting process and things being slow still. Is that something that you're hearing from people in Altadena?
Yeah, so, Altadena is a little bit different in its recovery process and how the permitting is working because it's an unincorporated community. So all of the permitting goes directly through the county, whereas for the Palisades, it'd be through the city of Los Angeles. The county has had to hire up staff. They've had, to beef up their team in order to respond to the volume of requests that are coming in. So things are now starting to move more quickly, but it was a very slow start. And that made things very painful and frustrating for folks. But, I know the county's made the investment. We as the state, made investments as well into the county so that they could do the staffing up that they needed to meet those needs.
Yeah, I was going to ask you too, because you have an interesting background too. You're a former mayor and council member and now a state lawmaker, so you can see how government can work at multiple levels. So at the state level, what is your ask from the legislature, your colleagues, and the governor's office? Because we know we're in times of deficits right now and everybody wants money for their district and their constituents. What is your ask?
My ask, and I wouldn't even say it's an ask, but a demand, and I talk with the governor about this every time I see him, is that the recovery for Los Angeles remains top of mind for the governor, for the legislature. This is a moment where people have gone through crisis, and I think Californians everywhere want to know that if they go through crisis too, that government is going to step up and be able to serve them. And if we can't respond in this moment, then we have failed at our jobs. And I do think that part of accountability is not just recognizing that there were mistakes made that ultimately led to deaths, but it's also helping folks through the rebuild process, learning from what happened, mitigating fire risks so that we have less of these disasters across the state.
Your take on it?
Absolutely. I think one of the many issues that I have with the permitting is that they've been jamming people up on some issues and then actually green lighting and fast tracking certain production that doesn't incorporate into the new fire science.
Okay.
So there's some people building homes that are not fire safe, which is absurd to me, given what we just experienced. I have a friend who just built a home in the area doing all the right things from a fire safety perspective, the special materials, the glass, the roofing, and yet her next door neighbor literally has put a vinyl fence between them, which is a fossil fuel based product that's just going to burn like this in the case of the next fire. So we're just the system just is so underprepared for handling these kinds of things, and part of our responsibility is making sure that our leaders.
So if you say the system is not prepared, who changes that system?
We all have to, right? Okay. I mean, so part of what I was going to say is that not only do we have to step up with funding to ensure, that includes, of course, the federal government, and the massive amount of money that we're owed from FEMA that's been held up for partisan reasons, but it also involves, I think, providing roadmaps to local governments. One of the many things I learned from this experience is how underprepared cities are for handling something like this. We certainly saw this in Los Angeles. People just weren't ready to handle every aspect of this, not just the crisis itself at the moment, but the post-fire rebuild process. How do we rebuild in an expeditious way that is fair to people, but that also takes into account all of the fire science so as to avoid these kinds of mistakes in the future? And I think it's part of why we're all working on legislation on this right now, both in terms of insurance reform, but also, I'm interested in maybe a model code that folks can adopt statewide that for very high fire risk zones. We have lots of people living in risky places. We know we can build and harden in ways that will dramatically reduce the chances of